Dear audience, the topic of our pod talk is about a new fresh start in our career or in our profession. This topic concerns to everyone, either you are an employer or an employee or a freelancer. In the last some years, record numbers of people have voluntarily left their jobs. Leaving a job is not a negative thing, it is basically connected with switching to many factors, like new opportunities, more possibility of career growth or taking more challenging position. But there is another factor, leaving the current job or switching the career without any clear purpose. It is actually fearful and has indirectly drastically effects both in short and long term. The movement is now so broad that the HR strategist has named it as the purposeless resignation. Why it is purposeless? Some of these people have left for more flexible work in the current economy. Some are seeking a change in lifestyle. But many have been spurred by the pandemic, financial concerns, burnouts or associated social upheavals to take a deep look at their lives and engage their career what gives them purpose. Let's take it a bit personal and have your own self-reflectance. Does this describe your situation as well? Are you also feeling stagnant, and in need of a change, that can offer you greater purpose and engagement? Honestly speaking, if you are thinking in the same way, then this is entirely natural and nothing to be seriously worried about. But, important is to keep your thinking on the right track. Your purpose will shift and change over time, and it's right to constantly find new ways to reinvigorate it. But those periods of transition are challenging to navigate. All of us experience such moments, when we must face the difficult decision to let go of doing something that formerly offered us purpose. But big decisions, like a career change, should be approached thoughtfully. I always advise people to be thoughtful about reinventing their current work before moving on to something new. There are times where the right choice is to strike out on a fresh path. As you consider your next move for the great career switch or take on a career transition, here are a few signs you might use to evaluate whether it's the right time to truly move on from work that previously provided you with meaning and purpose. The first sign is that your current position is no longer encouraging your growth. I tell you something from the sports, the best athletes are often required to diversify their physical training or dramatically change their routines. This is because, at some point, everything we do too consistently ceases to be a source of growth. When you notice a source of purpose is no longer helping you grow, look to reinvention or some other change. Leaving or switching your job is a big bold decision. So, I always encourage people to first see if there are ways to craft their work, or make changes within their current professional environment, before moving on. Often, reinvigorating your work can be as simple as seeing it differently, and modifying it in small ways. Something often referred to as job crafting. But, if you are exhausted on that path, and can no longer grow in your profession, then it might be the right time to move on. The second sign is that you have already achieved what you set out to achieve from your current position. Sometimes, you may lack growth in your current position because there's nothing left to aspire to. A former colleague of mine played for his town club. The first phase of his life was all about football, and was very passionate about it, keeping all other things in the background. Later, after he retired, first he was in a trauma to accept that he is not playing club football anymore. Through his mentor, he figured that he was satisfied with that period of his life, which had been an incredible source of meaning, and was ready to leave it behind. But his learning from football as a team player, decision maker, action taker, self-discipline has helped him tremendously in his new career. Sometimes, we simply accomplish what we set out to achieve. and prepare ourselves to get ready to move on to new challenges. Another sign to switch your job: when you started actively look for the ways to avoid your job. I had a college friend who loved writing, and she has natural skills as good writer. She has taken it as her career and enjoyed doing it. But at some point, she had grown tired of it and began seeking ways to avoid it. She became procrastinating, choosing almost any activity from laundry to kitchen helper over putting words on a page, and getting lost or wasting her time on social media when she was required to sit down to write. She realized, ultimately, that she needed a long break from writing, if she was ever going to fall in love with it again. Sometimes, you need to power through something to develop a positive habit. It is a social saying that all of us should exercise, for example, but it can be hard to get started. Honestly, it comes a point in life and became necessary for us to take a temporary or permanent break. A profession should be something we approach with curiosity and anticipation, not with avoidance. Another prominent sign is that you regularly approach work with exhaustion, burnout, or dread. I previously had a job that I had once enjoyed in my dream company, but circumstances changed so much that it had truly begun to wear on me. It came to a point that it was hard for me to leave the house to go to work in the morning. This was not because the company or its people were affecting me, but the fit was just not there anymore. If you regularly feel dread at approaching your work, it is the time to seriously consider changing it or leaving it behind. My 1 cent point is that your life is short and precious, and your work should enrich it. Another sign is that your job is instigating you to develop bad habits. Another friend of mine worked at a company whose culture was toxic, and he found himself, even in his social and family circle, behaving in ways he would have previously found unethical or inappropriate. He found himself being untruthful, for example, and misleading colleagues and clients. When he recognized this and understood the harms, he immediately left the firm. When something you look to for purpose begins pulling you further from it and from your values, you need to let it go. Yes, let it go. Never let a professional environment change you for the worse, particularly on matters of your character. Last but not least, your workplace has become unhealthy for you. It might happen that at your workspaces with colleagues, who scream at you or personally insult you. Such negative attitudes could bring you to the point of physical collapse. Then it is required for you to seek something new. If not prepared to switch your job, then pursue more serious actions. Such work environment is consistently harmful to your physical or emotional health. If you find yourself in that unenviable position, it's time to move on. So, my dear audience, there might be some other signs as well which force you to think about switching your job. Please share with us in the comment section. Honestly, again I will say, resigning is one of the most courageous action. Trying earnestly to reconceive of your work and craft it to be more purposeful, is always the best first course if you are feeling stagnant. You are not doing anything wrong by letting go of the old, because it is part of keeping life fresh and allowing purpose to change over time. Your life is in your hands. Something more and more people seem to be realizing. This switch may be just the opportunity you need for a great reinvention. Hope you enjoy and learned from our management talk. Please subscribe to our channel, Audiobooks Junkie. Thanks a lot.